The sky above Horizon 7 had always been a soft purple color. The twin suns painted everything in warm light during the day, and 3 small moons lit up the nights. For the 300 humans living on this colony world, it had become home over the past 5 years. They had built houses, planted crops, and created a small but happy community far from Earth. Commander Park stood at the edge of the farming fields that morning. She was a woman of 42 years, with short black hair and eyes that had seen many difficult things. Before coming to Horizon 7, she had served in Earth's military for 20 years. Now she led this peaceful colony, and she liked the quiet life. "The wheat is growing well," said, walking up beside her. He was the colony's chief engineer, a thin man with glasses and hands that were always dirty from fixing machines. "We might have our best harvest yet." Nodded and smiled. The settlers worked hard, they deserve good results. But that peaceful morning was about to end. A young woman came running from the communication building. Her name was, and she worked as the colony's radio operator. Her face was pale with fear. "Commander Park," she shouted, "you need to come quickly. We are receiving a signal. It is not from Earth." And looked at each other. In 5 years, they had never received any signal that was not from Earth. They ran to the communication building. Inside, the screens were showing strange symbols. The computer was trying to translate them. After a few minutes, words appeared on the screen in English. The translation was rough, but the message was clear. "Creatures of this world, we are the Empire. You will surrender all resources and technology. You will become servants of the Empire. You have 1 rotation of your planet to accept. If you refuse, you will be destroyed." The room was silent. Hands were shaking, his face had gone white. Read the message again. Then she looked up through the window at the purple sky. She could see something now, a dark shape moving against the clouds. It was getting bigger. A ship was coming down from space. "Get everyone to the main hall," said calmly. "Now." Within an hour, all 300 colonists were gathered. There were farmers, scientists, teachers, and children. They all looked scared. Through the windows of the hall, they could see the alien ship landing in the valley about 2 kilometers away. It was huge, bigger than any building on the colony. It was black and shaped like a curved blade. Stood on the small stage at the front of the hall. She looked at her people and felt a strange calm inside her. "You have all seen the ship," she said, "and you have heard about the message. An alien empire called the has told us to surrender. They want our resources. They want us to be their slaves." A man named raised his hand. He was a farmer with a wife and 2 young children. "What do we do, Commander? We are not soldiers. We have no weapons except a few hunting rifles." "We have more than that," said from the side of the room. "We have the colony's defensive shields. I have been improving them for years. They are strong." Nodded is right. We are not helpless. But more importantly, I want to tell you something about who we are. She stepped forward and looked into the eyes of her people. "We are human beings. Our ancestors survived ice ages that lasted thousands of years. They survived diseases that killed millions. They survived wars that burned entire countries. Every time something tried to end us, we found a way to keep going. We are still here." Her voice grew stronger. "These aliens think we are weak because we are small. They think we will be easy to take because we are few. They do not know what humans can do when we are pushed into a corner." An older woman named spoke up. She had been a history teacher on Earth before retiring to the colony. "But Commander, we are so far from Earth. Help will take a long time to arrive." "Then we survive until help comes," said. "We send a message to Earth today. We tell them what is happening, and we hold this colony until our people arrive." Stepped onto the stage beside. "I can boost our communication signal. Earth will receive our message in 3 days. If they send ships immediately, help could be here in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, someone whispered in the crowd. Can we last that long? Looked at the fear in the room. Then she looked at the determination that was slowly growing behind that fear. "We will last as long as we need to," she said. "This is our home. We built it with our hands. We will not give it away to anyone." Outside, a smaller ship detached from the main vessel and flew toward the colony. It landed near the communication building. A door opened and tall figures walked out. They stood over 2 meters tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and completely black. They wore armor that looked like dark metal, and they carried weapons that glowed with blue light. Their leader walked forward. His name was Admiral, though the humans did not know this yet. He looked at the small human buildings with disgust. "Such primitive creatures," he said to his soldiers in his own language. "This will take less than a day." Walked out of the main hall alone. She walked toward the aliens without any weapon. Her steps were steady. Her face showed no fear. Watched her approach. He found it amusing. This small, soft creature dared to walk toward him. "I am Commander Park," she said loudly. "Leader of this colony, state your business." His translator device processed her words. He laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping metal. "You received our message, little creature. You have heard our terms. Do you accept?" Looked up at the alien. He was almost twice her height. His soldiers had weapons pointed at her. Behind her, 300 people were depending on her words. She thought about Earth. She thought about all the wars her species had fought. She thought about every time humanity had faced something that wanted to destroy them. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something the enemy did not. "No," she said, just one word. His black eyes narrowed. No species had ever refused the. In 40 star systems, every world had surrendered or been destroyed within days. "You are making a mistake," he said. Turned and walked back toward her people. Over her shoulder she called out, "Maybe, but you made a bigger one when you came here." She did not look back again. Admiral returned to his main ship with anger burning in his chest. No creature had ever spoken to him like that. No species had ever refused the Empire. He stood on the command bridge of his warship, the Iron Fang, and looked down at the small human colony below. "Admiral," said one of his officers, a younger named, "what are your orders?" "Destroy them," said without hesitation. "Burn their buildings. Kill anyone who resists. Take the rest as slaves." Nodded and gave the order. The Iron Fang had 20 smaller attack ships inside it. These ships flew out and formed a circle around the colony. Each one was armed with energy weapons that could melt stone and metal. On the ground, watched the ships take position. Her heart was beating fast, but her face remained calm. She turned to who was standing at a control panel inside the main hall. "Are the shields ready?" she asked. Pushed his glasses up his nose. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Ready. But Commander, these shields were built to protect against storms and small meteorites. They were not built to stop weapons of war." "Can they hold?" Was quiet for a moment. "I made many improvements. I used power crystals we found in the northern mountains. The shields are much stronger now than they were designed to be. But against alien weapons," he shook his head, "I do not know." "Then we will find out together," said. "Raise the shields." Pressed a button. A soft humming sound filled the air. Outside, a dome of blue light appeared over the colony. It covered all the buildings, the farming fields, and the 300 people hiding inside. In his ship, watched the shield appear. He laughed again. "A defensive barrier. These primitives think a simple shield can stop us." He gave the order to fire. 20 ships opened fire at the same time. Beams of red energy shot down toward the colony. The sky lit up like a sunset made of fire. The ground shook. The colonists screamed and held onto each other. But the shield held. The energy beams hit the blue dome and spread across its surface like water hitting glass. The shield glowed brighter. It bent inward a little, but it did not break. Slav stopped. His black eyes widened. "Impossible," he whispered. "Those beams can cut through warship armor. How is a colony shield stopping them?" His officers looked at each other in confusion. They had conquered 40 star systems. They had never seen a primitive colony resist their weapons. "Fire again," commanded. "All ships maximum power." The attack came again, even stronger than before. The colonists inside the main hall could feel the heat through the walls. Children were crying. Adults held hands and prayed. Watched the shield on a screen. It was bending more now. Cracks of white light were appearing in the blue surface. She said, was sweating. His hands were flying over the controls. "I am rerouting power from all non-essential systems. Lights, heating, water pumps, everything is going to the shield now." The lights in the hall flickered and went out. Emergency, red lights came on instead. The humming sound of the shield grew louder. Outside, the attack continued. The ships poured more and more energy into their weapons. The shield was cracking now. Pieces of blue light were falling away like broken glass. Then suddenly, the attack stopped. In his ship was looking at a warning on his screen. His weapons were overheating. They needed time to cool down. "Admiral," said carefully, "our weapons need 30 minutes to reset." Slammed his 4 fists on the control panel. 30 minutes to destroy one small colony. He looked down at the human settlement. The shield was damaged but still standing. Smoke was rising from some of the buildings, but the colonists were alive. "What are these creatures?" asked quietly. "They are nothing," said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "They are primitive insects who got lucky. When our weapons are ready, we will destroy them." But deep inside, a small seed of doubt was growing in his mind. Down in the colony, walked outside to look at the shield. It was weak now. The blue color was pale and she could see through it like dirty glass, but it had held. Came out behind her. He was shaking from exhaustion and relief. "I cannot believe it worked," he said. "The power crystals absorbed more energy than I thought possible. They took the weapon fire and converted it into more shield power." Put a hand on his shoulder. "You saved us." "For now," he said. "The crystals are almost empty. Maybe 1 or 2 more attacks and the shield will fall." Nodded. She had expected this. "Then we need to prepare for when that happens." She turned to the colonists who were slowly coming out of the main hall. Their faces were scared, but also something else. They were still alive. They had survived an attack that should have killed them all. Some of them were starting to stand a little taller. "Listen to me," called out. "We survived the first attack. We showed these aliens that humans do not die easily, but they will attack again, and our shield will not hold forever." A young man named stepped forward. He was only 22, a farm worker with strong arms from years of labor. "Then what do we do, Commander?" "We prepare," said. "We dig trenches around the buildings. We set up barriers. We take our hunting rifles and anything else we can use as weapons. When they come on foot, we make them pay for every meter of ground." An older man shook his head. "We are farmers and scientists. We are not warriors." Looked at him with fire in her eyes. "Today we become warriors. Today we become what our ancestors were, survivors." In his ship was reviewing data about humans. He had never bothered to learn about this species before. They were just another primitive race to conquer, but now he was curious. What he found surprised him. Humans had a short, less than 100 years on average. They were physically weak compared to most spacefaring species. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. But their history was filled with war. Read about their world wars, where millions died in battles that lasted years. He read about ancient empires that rose and fell through blood and fire. He read about humans who had survived in frozen wastelands, burning deserts, and hostile jungles. "They are violent creatures," said, reading over his shoulder. "They spent most of their history fighting each other." felt a strange feeling he did not recognize. Later, he would understand it was the beginning of fear. "They are still primitive," he said, pushing the feeling away. "Their weapons cannot hurt our ships. Their shields are broken. When we attack again, they will fall." But as he looked down at the colony, he saw something that made him pause. The humans were moving. They were digging into the ground, building walls with dirt and stone, setting up defensive positions. They knew they could not win. They knew they would probably die, but they were not giving up. Watched them for a long time. In 40 star systems, he had never seen anything like this. Most species surrendered when they saw his weapons. The few who fought back gave up after the first attack. These humans kept working. Even their children were helping carry supplies. Strange creatures muttered, "Foolish creatures." But the doubt in his mind was growing stronger. The second attack came at sunset. The twin suns were painting the sky in shades of orange and red when the ships opened fire again. This time, shield held for only 12 minutes. When it fell, the colonists were ready. Had divided them into groups. Some were hidden in trenches near the edge of the colony. Others were inside buildings with hunting rifles pointed out windows. The children and those who could not fight were deep underground in storage bunkers. The ground troops came down in transport ships. 200 soldiers in dark armor, carrying weapons that glowed with blue fire. They marched toward the colony in perfect lines, expecting easy victory. The first shot came from. His hunting rifle was designed to kill large animals on Horizon 7. It was not meant for war. But when the bullet hit a soldier in the joint between his armor plates, the alien fell. More shots followed. The humans were terrible marksmen compared to trained soldiers, but they had surprise on their side. They had expected surrender, not resistance. 7 soldiers fell before they understood what was happening. Admiral watched from his ship in shock. They are fighting back, with primitive projectile weapons. The returned fire with their energy weapons. Trenches exploded. Buildings caught fire. The humans were outmatched in every way, but they kept fighting. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, they had taken the colony, but they had lost 43 soldiers, an unheard-of number against a primitive species. Many more were injured. Of the 300 colonists, 89 were dead. Another 60 were wounded. The rest were captured, including Commander Park. They put their prisoners in a holding area in the center of the destroyed colony. The humans sat on the ground, surrounded by armed guards. Many were crying. Others were silent with shock, but some, were calm. She had expected this outcome. She had known they could not win, but she also knew something they did not understand yet. Among the prisoners was a man named Lee. He was 45 years old, with a face and hard eyes. Before coming to Horizon 7, he had been a sergeant in Earth's military for 23 years. He had fought in 3 wars and survived things that would break most people. When a guard walked past, spoke up in a clear, loud voice. "Take me to your leader. I have information he will want to hear." The guard looked at him with confusion. Most prisoners begged or cried. This one was making demands. "You want to see Admiral?" the guard asked. "Why?" "Because if he is smart, he will want to know what is coming for him." The guard laughed, but something in his eyes made him nervous. He reported the strange human to his officer, who reported it too, who eventually told. Was curious. He had never met a human up close. He ordered the prisoner brought to his ship. Was taken aboard the Iron Fang with his hands bound. He walked through the alien corridors without fear, looking around at everything with interest. When he was brought to the command bridge, he stood straight and looked directly at Admiral. Sat in his command chair, all 4 arms resting on the sides. He studied the human with his black eyes. "You wanted to see me," said. "Speak." Smiled. It was not a nice smile. "I wanted to give you a warning, Admiral, a chance to save yourself and your soldiers." His officers laughed. A bound prisoner threatening an admiral. It was absurd. But held up a hand for silence. There was something in this human's voice that was interesting. A warning, said. What could a primitive creature like you possibly warn me about? Took a slow breath. Let me tell you about my species, Admiral. You think we are weak because we are small. You think we are primitive because we only recently discovered space travel, but you do not know our history. I have read your history, said. Your species spent most of its existence fighting each other. It is pathetic. Is it? Asked. Think about what that means, Admiral. For thousands of years, humans have been at war. We fought with rocks and sticks. We fought with swords and spears. We fought with guns and bombs. We built weapons that could destroy entire cities. We created poisons that could kill millions. And through all of that, we survived. Shifted in his chair. The human's voice was calm, almost friendly, but his words were disturbing. We have faced extinction many times, continued. Ice ages that covered our world, diseases that killed half our population, asteroids falling from the sky. Every time we found a way to survive. Every time we came back stronger. You are trying to frighten me, said. It will not work. Shook his head. I am not trying to frighten you, Admiral. I am trying to educate you. You attacked a small colony of farmers and scientists. You killed 89 people. You think you have one. He paused and looked around at the officers. But you lost 43 soldiers today, against farmers, against people who had never held a weapon before this morning. Imagine what will happen when you face real human soldiers. Stepped forward angrily. You are bluffing. Your military is small and far away. By the time they arrive, this system will belong to the Empire. Turned to look at him. You think so? Let me tell you something about human soldiers. We train them from the age of 18. We teach them to fight in every environment, jungles, deserts, mountains, space. We teach them to kill with weapons, with knives, with their bare hands. We teach them to keep fighting even when they are wounded, even when they are dying. He looked back at. Our soldiers have something your species does not understand. We call it spirit. It is the thing that makes a human keep fighting when there is no hope. It is the thing that made those farmers stand against your army today. And it is the thing that will bring our fleet here to destroy you. Leaned forward. Your fleet is nothing. We have scanned your species. Your military has perhaps 10,000 ships total. The Empire has hundreds of thousands. Nodded. You have more ships, but you do not have our spirit. When your soldiers are wounded, they retreat. When ours are wounded, they keep fighting. When your soldiers are surrounded, they surrender. Ours fight to the last breath. He took a step closer too, even though his hands were bound. You made a mistake today, Admiral. You could have passed by this colony. You could have left us alone. But you chose to attack. You chose to kill our people. And now, nothing in this galaxy will stop us from making you pay. Stared at the human. For a moment, the bridge was completely silent. Then laughed. It was a loud, harsh sound that echoed through the room. Spirit, he said mockingly, this is your weapon, feelings, emotions. They have conquered 40 star systems with technology and power. Your spirit means nothing against our weapons. He waved a hand at his guards. Take this creature away, put him with the other prisoners. I have heard enough of his foolish words. As the guards grabbed, he looked back at one more time. Remember this moment, Admiral. Remember that I gave you a chance to leave. Because when our ships arrive, there will be no more chances. Watch the human being dragged away. Then he turned to. These creatures are insane, he said. They actually believe they can defeat us. Nodded, but he was thinking about the battle. 43 dead soldiers against farmers with primitive weapons. He was thinking about how the humans had kept fighting even when there was no hope. Perhaps we should request reinforcements, suggested carefully. His eyes narrowed. For one small colony, no, we do not fear primitives and their spirit. But that night, Admiral did not sleep well. In his dreams, he saw the faces of the humans who had died that day. They were smiling, even as they fell, and behind them he could see more humans coming, millions of them, all of them smiling that same terrible smile. 3 days after the attack, a distress signal reached Earth. It arrived at the United Earth Military Command at 3:47 in the morning. A young communications officer named was the first to see it. He read the message 3 times, his hands shaking more each time. "Alert Admiral Han," he said to his colleague, "now." Within an hour, the highest military leaders on Earth were gathered in a secure room. Admiral Jin Han stood at the head of the table. She was 60 years old, with gray hair cut short and a face that had seen decades of service. Her eyes were cold and sharp like knives. "Play the message," she ordered. His voice filled the room. It was calm, even though she was describing an alien attack. "This is Commander Park of Colony Horizon 7. We have been attacked by an alien force calling themselves the Empire. They demanded our surrender. We refused. Our shield has held their first attack, but we cannot resist for long. We need immediate assistance. I repeat, we need immediate assistance." The message ended. The room was silent. "An alien empire," said General, an older man who led ground forces. "We always knew this day would come." Admiral Han nodded slowly. "Humanity has been preparing for first contact for 50 years. We hoped it would be peaceful. It seems we were wrong." She turned to her intelligence officer. "What do we know about these?" The officer pulled up data on the main screen. "Very little, Admiral. Our long-range sensors have detected them in distant sectors. They appear to control approximately 40 star systems. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but perhaps not by much." "How many ships do they have?" "Our estimates say between 200,000 and 300,000 warships." Someone at the table cursed quietly. Earth's fleet had just over 10,000 ships. Admiral Han's face did not change. "The colony's message was sent 3 days ago. What is their current status?" "Unknown, Admiral. But based on the message, it is likely the colony has fallen by now." Fallen, such a simple word for so much death. Admiral Han stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of New Seoul stretching to the horizon. Millions of people living their lives, not knowing that humanity had just been thrust into a war. "How many colonists on Horizon 7? She asked. 300, Admiral. 300 humans, farmers, scientists, families, people who had traveled across the stars to build a new life. Now they were dead or enslaved." Admiral Han felt something old and familiar rising in her chest. She had felt it before in the wars of her youth. It was fury, cold and patient and absolutely certain. She turned back to the room. "Alert all fleets," she said. "We are going to Horizon 7. General raised a hand. "Admiral, if they have hundreds of thousands of ships, we cannot win a direct war. Perhaps diplomacy." "They attacked our people," Admiral Han cut him off. "They killed our people. There will be no diplomacy until we have shown them what that means." She walked back to the table and placed her hands on its surface. "I am not talking about winning a war today. I am talking about sending a message. The need to understand that when you attack humanity, humanity hits back. Hard." She looked around at her officers. "We will send everything we can spare. 5,000 warships, 2 million soldiers. We will go to Horizon 7 and we will either rescue our people or avenge them." The mobilization began within hours. Across Earth and its colony worlds, ships were prepared for war. Soldiers were called to duty. Weapons were loaded. Engines were powered up. Captain stood on the bridge of her warship, the Spirit of Seoul. She was 35 years old, one of the youngest captains in the fleet, and she had been waiting for this moment her entire career. "All systems ready," her first officer reported. "The crew is at battle stations." Nodded. "How many ships in our battle group?" 200, Captain. We are part of the third attack wing. Through the could see other ships forming up around them. Some were massive battleships bristling with weapons. Others were smaller destroyers, fast and deadly. All of them carried the flag of United Earth. Admiral Hand's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Hand to all ships. Today we begin a journey that will be remembered for 1,000 years. An alien empire has attacked human beings. They have killed our brothers and sisters. They believe we are weak. They believe we will not fight back. Her voice grew harder. They are wrong. For thousands of years, our species has faced challenges that should have destroyed us. Ice ages, plagues, wars that killed millions. Every time we survived. Every time we came back stronger. Because that is what humans do. We never give up. We never surrender. We fight until our last breath, and then we fight some more. On ships across the fleet, humans listened. Some were veterans who had fought in Earth's wars. Others were young, barely out of training. All of them felt something stirring in their blood, something ancient and powerful. They do not understand what they have awakened, Admiral Hand continued. They see our short lives and think we are weak. They see our small numbers and think we are easy prey. They do not understand that every human alive carries the spirit of every human who came before. We are the children of warriors, survivors, and conquerors. When we reach Horizon 7, we will show the what happens when you threaten humanity's children. We will teach them a lesson they will never forget. And if any of you fall in this battle, know that you fall as heroes. Your names will be remembered forever. The channel went silent for a moment. Then, across 5,000 ships, 2 million voices began to cheer. The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. On Horizon 7, Admiral received a report that made his blood run cold. Admiral said carefully, "Our sensors are detecting incoming ships, many incoming ships." "How many?" Swallowed hard. "Over 5,000, Admiral. They will arrive in 12 hours. Stared at the sensor data. 5,000 human warships. He had expected maybe a few hundred at most. He had 40 ships in this system. For the first time in his long career, Admiral felt real fear. "Contact Imperial Command," he ordered. "Request immediate reinforcements." "Admiral, reinforcements will take 3 days to arrive." 3 days? The humans would be here in 12 hours. Thought about the warning from the human prisoner. He thought about how farmers with hunting rifles had killed 43 of his soldiers. Now 5,000 warships were coming, filled with trained human soldiers. "All ships prepare for battle," he commanded, but his voice was not as strong as before. In the prisoner-holding area, Lee heard the commotion among the guards. He saw the fear in their eyes, and he smiled. Turning to and the other surviving colonists, he spoke quietly. "They are coming, our people are coming." Looked up at the sky. She could not see the ships yet, but she could feel them. Millions of humans racing across the stars to find them. "Hold on," she whispered to her people, "just a little longer." Above them the stars were moving. An army was on its way. The human fleet arrived at Horizon 7, like thunder from a clear sky. 5,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at once. The space around the planet was suddenly filled with metal and weapons and fury. Admiral Hand stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Soul, watching the enemy ships on her sensors. 40 warships against 5,000 human ships. "Admiral," she transmitted on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Jin Han of the United Earth Fleet. You attacked our colony. You killed our people. I am giving you one chance to surrender." On his ship, heard the message. His officers were looking at him with terror in their eyes. They were outnumbered more than 100 to 1. Spoke quietly, "Admiral, perhaps we should." "No," said, but his voice was shaking. "The do not surrender, we fight." He opened a channel to the human fleet. "Human Admiral, the Empire does not bow to primitive species. If you want this system, You will have to take it." Admiral Han smiled coldly. "As you wish." The battle lasted 47 minutes. Human ships moved through the formation like wolves through a flock of sheep. The weapons were powerful, but the human ships were too many and too fast. Beams of energy filled space. Ships exploded. Metal burned. Captain drove her ship, the Spirit of Soul, straight at the Iron Fang. Her weapons officer fired everything they had at the enemy flagship. "Direct hit," the weapons officer shouted. "Their shields are failing." "Hit them again," ordered, for Horizon 7. All around her, other human ships were doing the same. They swarmed around the vessels, attacking from every direction at once. The aliens tried to fight back, but there were too many targets. For every human ship they damaged, 10 more were hitting them. On the Iron Fang, explosions rocked the bridge. Lights flickered. Crew members screamed. Admiral held onto his command chair as his ship fell apart around him. "Shields down," an officer yelled. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. "Return fire," shouted. "We have nothing left to fire, Admiral. Our weapons are destroyed." Looked at his screen. All around him, his ships were being torn apart. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, like they had been preparing for this exact moment their entire lives. And maybe they had been. In his mind, heard the words of the human prisoner again. "Imagine what will happen when you face real human soldiers." Now he understood. Now he finally understood what he had awakened. The Iron Fang shook again as more missiles hit its hull. The bridge was filling with smoke. Could see his officers dying around him. This was the end. Then the human ship stopped firing. Admiral Han's voice came over the communication channel once more. "Admiral, your fleet is destroyed. Your ship is crippled. Surrender now, and your surviving crew will be treated as prisoners of war. Continue fighting, and you will all die." Looked around at the destruction. He thought about the Empire. He thought about his honor. He thought about the 40 star systems they had conquered. None of it mattered now. "I surrender," he said quietly. The words tasted like poison. Human soldiers boarded the Iron Fang within an hour. They moved through the ship with military precision, securing every corridor and room. The crew who survived were put in restraints and taken away. Admiral was brought to Admiral Han personally. They met in the ruined bridge of the Iron Fang. Han walked through the smoke and debris without any expression on her face. She stopped in front of who was on his knees with his 4 arms bound behind his back. "Admiral," she said calmly, "you declared war on humanity when you attacked our colony. You killed 89 civilians. You enslaved the rest." She knelt down so she was looking directly into his black eyes. "I want you to understand something. This is not over. You are going to return to your empire. You are going to tell them exactly what happened here today. You are going to tell them what humanity is capable of. And you are going to deliver a message from me." She leaned closer. "Tell them that humanity is awake now. Tell them that we know they exist. Tell them that if they ever attack human beings again, we will come for them. Not with 5,000 ships, with 10,000, with 50,000, with every ship and soldier we have." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And tell them this, we are not prey, we have never been prey. We are apex predators who have been sleeping. And now that we are awake, the galaxy will learn to fear us." She stood up and turned away. "Take him to the transport. Make sure he gets home safely. I want the Empire to hear every word." On the surface of Horizon 7, the surviving colonists were freed. Walked out of the prisoner-holding area into the sunlight. The twin suns were high in the purple sky. Around her, she could see human soldiers everywhere, helping the wounded, distributing food and water, searching for survivors. Walked beside her, rubbing his wrists where the restraints had been. "They came," he said simply. "They came," agreed. A young soldier ran up to them. "Commander Park, Admiral Han wants to see you on the flagship." An hour later, stood on the bridge of the Eternal Soul, facing Admiral Han. The two women looked at each other in silence for a long moment. "Commander Park," Admiral Han finally said, "I have read the reports. You held this colony against impossible odds for 3 days. You led farmers and scientists in a battle against alien soldiers. You lost 89 people, but you saved 211. His eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "I did what any human would do, Admiral. We do not give up." Admiral Han nodded slowly. "No, we do not." She held out her hand. "Thank you, Commander. You showed the galaxy what humanity is made of." Shook her hand. "What happens now, Admiral? The Empire will not accept this defeat. They will come back with a larger fleet." "Let them come," Admiral Han said. Her voice was hard as iron. "We have been waiting for an enemy worthy of our attention. For too long, humanity has had no one to fight but ourselves. Now we have a purpose. Now we have something to unite us." She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. The thought they were conquering a primitive species. They thought we would surrender or die. They did not understand that humanity has been preparing for this moment for thousands of years. Every war we fought, every weapon we built, every soldier we trained, it was all leading to this. She turned back to, "We are not afraid of them, Commander. We are not afraid of anyone, because fear is something we learned to overcome long ago. Fear is something we eat for breakfast." On the planet below, the colonists were beginning to rebuild. Children played in the streets between the damaged buildings. Adults worked together to repair what they had destroyed. Was already planning new defenses. "Next time," he said to anyone who would listen, "they will not even get past the first attack. There would be more battles. There would be more wars. The Empire would send larger fleets, stronger weapons, more soldiers, and humanity would meet them every time. Because that was what humans did. They fought, they survived, they won." In the years that followed, the story of Horizon 7 spread across the galaxy. Alien species who had never met humans heard about the farmers who stood against an empire. They heard about the fleet that came to avenge them. They heard about the warriors who never gave up. And they learned a simple lesson: never attack humanity. Because when you declared war on humans, you were not attacking a primitive species. You were not threatening weak creatures who would surrender. You were waking up the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen. And once they were awake, they did not go back to sleep. Admiral returned to the broken alien. He delivered Admiral Han's message to the Imperial Council. He told them about the battle, about the human ships that moved like a single living creature, about the soldiers who showed no fear. The council listened in silence. When finished, the High Commander spoke. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" Thought for a long time. He thought about his destroyed fleet. He thought about the human admiral's cold eyes. He thought about the farmer colonists who had killed 43 of his soldiers. "Leave them alone," he said finally. "Find other systems to conquer, other species to enslave, but leave the humans alone." He looked at the council with empty eyes. "Because they are not like us. They are not like anyone we have ever conquered. They are something else entirely, something dangerous, something unstoppable." He took a deep breath. "They call themselves humanity, and I believe that name will become a legend in this galaxy, a legend that all species will learn to fear." The council was silent for a long time. Then the High Commander nodded. "Let the humans have their small colony. We have bigger concerns." And so the Empire turned away from human space. They conquered other systems, enslaved other species, built their power elsewhere. But they never forgot Horizon 7. They never forgot the day they learned what humans really were. Apex predators. The most deadly species alive.